Following table lists data for the scores on the first quiz and second quiz for 8 students in a class. And the graph shows a scatter plot of the data points along with a line of best fit given by the equation y equals 0.8133x plus 2.238. Then we're asked, suppose we wanted to predict the quiz 2 score of a student with a quiz 1 score of 15. Is this an example of interpolation or extrapolation? And then suppose we wanted to know what quiz 1 score predicts a quiz 2 score of 35. And is this an example of interpolation or extrapolation? All right, so the first thing we want to know here is, what is interpolation, what is extrapolation? But also I should note that on this graph that the quiz 1 score is on the x-axis and the quiz 2 score is on the y-axis. And so I'm treating quiz 1 as the x and quiz 2 as the y. And so our data is here, right? These data points are from the table. And so basically the information, the model is most useful within the data points. And so our data points here are within this region, this domain and range. Any predictions within that highlighted box is considered interpolation. Any predictions outside of that box is considered extrapolation. So for our first part here, suppose we wanted to predict a quiz 2 score of a student with a quiz 1 score of 15. So if the quiz 1 score is 15, that's outside the provided data. So for part 1 here, let's call this part 1. Is this an example of interpolation or extrapolation? This is extrapolation. X equals 15 is outside the data points. It's outside the provided data. Now we can make the prediction using the line of best fit. We can say, okay, y equals 0.8133 by 15 plus 2.238, and make that calculation. I've got my calculator here. 0.8133 by 15 plus 2.238 is 14.4375. And so that's the prediction. So the quiz 2 score would be approximately, let's say, 14. But we're extrapolating. We're going outside the data. And so that might not be correct. Right? It might not be as useful outside the data as inside the data. Part 2 here. Suppose we wanted to know what quiz 1 score predicts a quiz 2 score of 35. So for part 2, the quiz 2 score of 35, so a quiz 2 score of 35, that's here, that's inside the data. That's inside the range. And so this would be considered an interpolation. All right, so y equals 35 is inside the provided data. And again, we can go ahead and follow through on the prediction. We will want 0.8133x plus 2.238 to equal 35, excuse me. We want that equal to 35. And so go through a little bit of algebra here. Let's subtract the 2.238. And so then 0.8133x would equal 35 minus 2.238 is 32.762. And divide by the 0.8133. And that's about a 40. X is approximately 40. And so the quiz 1 score is about 40. And again, that would be an interpolation. It's within the data. Interpolations are usually more valid than extrapolations. One thing we have to be careful of with extrapolations is what's considered model breakdown, where our conclusion from using the line of best fit may not make any sense in the context of the problem. So be careful about model breakdown.